What's good, everyone? I hope y'all enjoyed your Christmas. This week's video is the second installment to the biggest crash outs in boxing. With that being said, let's get started. Boxing prospect, the 16-1 Prentice Brewer was up against the undefeated Ronald Cruz for the WBC Continental title. It was Brewer's first 12-round bout, and this was an important fight to get him into title contention. Brewer would lose on all judges' scorecards, 118-110. He was absolutely devastated by the results, despite the entire NBC crew scoring the fight almost exactly the same. Brewer decided to throw all his frustrations on guest commentator Freddie Roach.
When he hit me one time, I hit him 3 times. You seen the fight. What you think?
BJ and Freddie both had it lopsided for Cruz.
Freddie, Pacquiao on steroids. I don't like giving hell what Freddie talking about. I feel like I won, man. That's just it, man. I outboxed the kid. How you gonna win if you don't throw no punches? Freddie, Pacquiao on steroids, and he off it now. He don't look like shit. I'm out.
Thanks, President.
Guys.
In 1960, EBU heavyweight champion, oh man, what a name, Dick Richardson was up against Brian London. The fight was stopped due to Brian's cuts, and he would completely crash out. This makes Zab Judah's crash out look like nothing. London drops one of the officials, then began attacking Richardson's team. The brother of Brian and his dad, the former heavyweight champion Jack London, also joined in on the scrap too, turning this into a sight to see in this era of the sport, where boxers from this era was always portrayed as classy and gentlemanlike. This is a very strange fight with a fighter who had a very strange career. Cliff Couser, heavyweight boxer who claimed to be the half-brother of Mike Tyson. All the fights I've seen of him, something looks strangely off with sideshow type of vibes. His career high point was defeating decorated Cuban amateur Jorge Luis Gonzalez by KO. He actually looked good in this fight, which was a huge upset at the time.
Face first against Bowe in 6 rounds and ready to go. They pull off. Cliff Couser has stopped him in the 3rd.
This is a shocking upset, and Cliff Couser, Twin Tyson or whatever, has arrived.
Outside of that, I got out of prime Bob Sapp vibes. Cliff, after his high point, would lose his next fight for the NABF title to get into title contention against Clifford TNT, then later bounce up and down. By 2003, he was matched up to face Michael Tan, who looked like a great value Ice Cube. This is wild here. We have a Mike Tyson lookalike who claims to be his half-brother matched up against an Ice Cube lookalike. Cliff fights using the Tyson style, but also uses an imperfected version of the shoulder roll. Utilizing both styles leaves him open to get hit on the top and back of the head. Cliff guaranteed in the pre-fight promotion, if he gets hit on the back or the top of the head one more time, he will be going off. Cliff enters the ring wearing a G-Unit written on the Tyson-like towel robe. Right in the first round, Cliff was getting hit on both the top and the back of the head, right when the commentators were mentioning it.
Body work by Tan.
Cliff crashes out, tackles Ice Cube to the ground, resulting in a disqualification.
And threw it down. You know what? You said this earlier, that you wouldn't be surprised to see a DQ, and it looks like Couser is trying to do that.
Cliff, blinded by anger, had to be held back by his team. Anger then turned into sadness, where Cliff breaks down.
Out that he is angry about it, but
I think Cliff made a terrible mistake here tonight. I just flipped out. But again, it was a guy who went in almost waiting for his tripwire to be tripped there.
According to some of the notes I read, all rumor, Cliff supposedly had a conversation with Tyson about getting hit on the top and the back of the head. Tyson told him, if someone does it to you, make them pay. Couser must have taken that literally and used unnecessarily extreme measures to make them pay. Also noted, supposedly the promoter knew Cliff did not like those type of hits based on his fight against Lance Whitaker. So Malcolm, who was under the same promotional banner as Lance, was coached by the promoter to go to the top and the back of the head to disrupt Cliff's game. Before we get back with the video, be sure to hit that like button. That is the best way of supporting this page. I think next year we'll finally be out of the shadow realm of YouTube. I appreciate y'all's support. This week's comment section topic is, who do you have winning between Naoya Inoue versus Junto Nakatani, and why? Leave in the comments. Thanks for sticking around to the end, and let's get back to the video. The moms in the sport, and especially combat sports, are always full of emotion, mostly harmless emotions. However, this mom took her emotions out on her son's opponent, who was on the verge of getting the TKO victory. However, he was handling himself quite well, dodging and firing back counters. Despite that, the mom, full of emotion, enters the ring as the fight is still in action with a shoe in her hand and landed a couple solid hits before being pulled off. Bowe plus his team are the Crashout Kings of boxing, but they do have a rival that we never got to see in the ring. In 1991, Bowe was set to face Elijah Tillery for the WBC Continental Americas title. The first round, he was on the verge of stopping Tiller. A little roughhousing after the knockdown. This resulted after Elijah was saved after the bell to instigate Bowe, which he would swat his gloves at Elijah. Elijah attempted to kick Bowe, which landed. Bowe returned back with his own punches, this time winding up for something big. And before Bowe was about to send Elijah to the shadow realm, Bowe's manager gets Tillery in a headlock and throws him out of the ring. This resulted in a DQ victory for Bowe. There would be an immediate rematch where he will win once more. Fast forward to the Holyfield rematch. The fight would be randomly disrupted by a man in a parachute with a fan on his back. Bowe's team would give the man a licking before police came and broke things up. Then, not even that long after the Holyfield fight, we have the infamous Galata fight. Galata would DQ himself due to excessive low blows.
Down goes Bowe, that's it. Great. It's a disqualification. It's time.
Then right after the stoppage, Bowe's team would go on full attack mode, going after Galata, getting numerous hits in on Galata. This would result in a riot outside the ring, which took an incredibly long time to stop because of the lack of security and no police officers present.
In the beginning, there was no security at all. There was a couple of guys in their 60s trying to stop guys in their 20s.
This incident changed how sporting events is secured because it was so bad and embarrassing that the mayor of New York at the time had to put forth this change, which later became a nationwide standard.
It was worse than I thought it would be, and my biggest concern was that we had not been notified in a timely manner.
Order was restored some 23 minutes after the fight ended.
Outside of Lou Duva, Norman Stone is one of the most aggressive, passionate, and protective trainers in the sport that truly has a fatherly bond with his fighters.
He got him! He got him! Oh, that was a beautiful. Come on, Johnny! Go in. Get up.
Out of all the Stone Crashouts, this one takes the cake. Ruiz matched up against WBA champion Nikolai Valuev in a very close and uncomfortable fight. Valuev will win by a controversial decision, which the results was booed. Norman, who obviously felt like his fighter was robbed and also fueled by the crowd, pulled off a Shooter McGavin, stole the belt from Team Valuev, fighting to take it, ends up getting the belt, and shows it off to the crowd, which erupted in cheers.
Hat den Gürtel! Hat sich den Gürtel genommen und hält ihn hoch! You suck!
Then Valuev's trainer rushes in and gives Stone a one-piece, which erupted into a scuffle in the ring. Order was restored and Stone was escorted back to the locker room. I think a dream matchup would be Riddick Bowe's team versus Ruiz's team. So this one is very irritating and personal. If y'all don't know, I'm from Virginia, born and raised. We never had anything nice in a long time to root for outside of college football and that one VCU run in 2011. Boxing wise, we've had the longest drought for a fighter to fight for a world title. Our last champion was Pernell Whitaker. One of my proudest moments in this sport was witnessing Keyshawn Davis get in title contention and become the world champion.
Cook, he got twisted D to the body.
To the body.
What do you know? What do you know? Woo! Stay down. Stay down. You ain't about that. Stay down. Stay down. Ow! VA back. VA.
I always saw that it looked like he was cut from the same cloth as Crawford when it came to self-promotion and talking to the press. He was entertaining and he had charisma, something we don't really see as much with this generation who has ghostwriters for Twitter or can't even formulate proper responses unless it's typed up. Keyshawn had us Virginians rallying behind him and the boxing world. He had an amazing come-up story, personality, and clearly deemed to be one of the very few American boxers that had a chance to receive major endorsement deals because of his image. Keyshawn was set to make a big homecoming debut, defending his title in Norfolk, Virginia. From fight weekend on, it was an utter embarrassment. I was informed, allegedly based on this ring announcer, that I've redacted his user. I'm not sure if this was prior to this fight week or from 2023, but apparently according to the comment, he was smoking during fight week, then followed up for him to miss weight by 4.3 pounds, which that is documented. Very Broner versus Escobedo-esque. However, Dos Santos is no Escobedo, who was in need of a payday to support his new family, and this fight got canceled, and Keyshawn's massive career high payday was down the drain. To make things even worse, Keyshawn's brother would lose to Nahir Albright, a fighter who I've never heard a single negative thing about in regards to his character. He's generally a nice guy. Keyshawn would headbutt him, then jump Nahir backstage before the two was split up.
Did anyone punch you or anything, or was it just a headbutt?
Yeah, just a grab and the headbutt.
Why do you think they would do this?
They upset that their brother lost. Poor sportsmanship. I never been through this. I never seen no one go through this.
This was met with widespread scrutiny for ESPN to call him out. Despite not being suspended or held accountable, Keyshawn would end up taking a long break. Now, personally, I think he should have been held accountable to the fullest extent and fined. Because if this isn't done, we are enabling his behavior for this to be committed again. Now, some folks may say I'm a hater for that. I want him to be successful. I want him to be great. And so does everyone else from Virginia. But we just can't tolerate and enable this type of behavior because it eventually just makes us look stupid for defending him. Now, that may be different with folks from Ohio or folks from Maryland. We've seen how the system enables their boxing stars' behavior to the point are career criminals. One's an unprofessional alcoholic who respects no one.
I'm not doing it again.
Yeah, no. I can't. I asked you the first time. I don't have no problems with you, but I'm gonna pay you for your time. But you can't violate, bro. I told you that. Now, when you tell me cool when we not rolling, so when we start rolling, you just ignore what I said and start flirting with Stat again. I asked you several times, like on the show it may have been 2 or 3 times, but it was actually more like 7, 8 times.
And the other can't keep his hands off of women, stay out of trouble despite having the DA and judge on his side. Absolute room level IQ, degenerate behavior. I'm not saying this out of hate. I'm being real about this, and I'm saying this out of love because I want him to do good and put VA on the map. No one is perfect, but it's up to him now. He is at a crossroads. He could end up like those bozos, or he can be respected worldwide like a Terrence Crawford. And on top of that, this is boxing's biggest Crashouts. For more installments, be sure to like, share. If you're new, subscribe to Patreon for Patreon-backed projects and early access. Merry Christmas once more, and Happy New Year's. I'm Alpha Sancho, and I'm out.